What's going on, hoop heads? Welcome to ESPN's Nothing But Net Philippines. We got an upgrade. We're no longer in my house. We have an actual studio now, friends. My name is Atayde for the second installment of the show, where we discuss everything that is going on in and around the basketball world in both the Philippines and abroad, whether it's in Korea or in Japan or in the NBA. We will be discussing it here on the show. As for this episode, it's going to be all about the trade conversations that are going on in the NBA, plus the latest that is happening with the San Miguel Beermen. As for the start of it all, it's Jimmy Butler. The recent development is that, according to our sources known as Sham Sharanya and his sources, he met with Pat Riley, and I mean Jimmy Butler, face-to-face, where Jimmy reiterated that he wants to be traded out of South Beach, that he will not be picking up his $52 million contract. Wow, by the way. And he is still serving his 7-game suspension that ends later on this week. I wanted to discuss more about the trade value that Jimmy Butler actually still has in the league. And in order to do so, we need to really kind of break down what he is doing on the court right now when he is out there and not suspended. So he is currently averaging 17.6 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game. Both of those are extremely mid at this point, but there are some really noticeable stats here. Career highs when it comes to his field goal percentage at 55.2%, but a career low when it comes to his field goal attempts, which is at 10.5. So those things stinky, not really good at this point, but there are still 4 teams, according to Shams, that are interested in acquiring Jimmy Butler. The Phoenix Suns, the Golden State Warriors, which we will discuss later on in the show, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Houston Rockets. Now, like I said, we'll discuss the Dubs later on, but for the Suns, it will depend primarily on if Bradley Beal will waive his no-trade clause, or if there will be a third team that will come in. That is where Bradley Beal might want to go. We will have to wait and see. As for Dallas, they don't have the cap space to give Jimmy the lucrative long-term deal that Butler is looking for. As for Houston, they seem to be on a different path right now. Things are going really well with them. To kind of blow up the project that they have right now, to bring in Jimmy might not be the best move. So, with all that being said, with the trade value that we are seeing from Jimmy, with his stats, which are pretty much is just the Suns that are the only team that have the right pieces maybe to facilitate a deal, and Dallas, who do not have the salary cap to keep that deal moving forward. So we will have to wait and see. Now, I did say that we were going to discuss the Golden State Warriors, and I honestly never thought that we would get to this point. Steph Curry had some interesting quotes in a post-game interview, and I want to read them off to you, okay? He said, "Desperate trades or desperate moves that deplete the future. There is a responsibility on allowing or keeping the franchise in a good space and good spot when it comes to where we leave this thing when we're done." I can honestly say I've never heard a player say that. Windy said it on NBA Today. Like, how did we get here? Especially coming from somebody who is such a competitor like Steph Curry, to be like, you know what? Baka ito lang talaga. This is the best that we have, and we're probably not going to win it. And winning is something that Golden State has not been doing recently. After a fantastic start that they had to the season, they have lost 17 out of their last 24. They are now under 500. And with the new CBA, especially like what we were talking about with Jimmy Butler, it does make teams a little bit more hesitant to pull the trigger when it comes to pulling off trades, the second apron and all of that. For more entire breakdowns, Bobby Marks is the person to go to. I'm just here to kind of lay out a little bit more of the information that we have. So now my question is Steph playing checkers while everybody else is playing chess? Is this a mind game at this point? Because Steph knows that he can't be like LeBron and all of the other superstars out there that are demanding, oh, we need to trade this and we need to bring in this kind of player and blah, 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 blah. Because, again, it's a hot topic that we're talking about on the show, trade value starts to diminish for everyone else on the team. Steph knows that if he says, oh, we need to do this trade, teams are going to start to hold out a little bit more on the pieces. Now, in case that that's not it, in case that this is purely just him being a good Samaritan, and he really is a good guy, he says that he wants to leave the team better than he got it. Steph, I don't know if I have to be the one to tell you that on Nothing But Net Philippines, but Golden State is a lot better now than they were when you got there, buddy. Oh, man. On jerseys alone, like the jersey is already so much better than it is than it was back in the day when Baron Davis and Monte Ellis were wearing it. But the entire price tag of the franchise is done well. You've won championships there. You've made it. You've given them a brand new stadium. So you've already done that, buddy. Now it's time for Lacob and the rest of Mike Dunleavy, that organization, need to find a way to make the most out of the final years that we have, not only of Steph Curry in Golden State, but Steph Curry in the NBA. I think that it is about time that we put some pieces around him, or we might have to put him around some pieces somewhere else. Now, speaking of pieces and teams that are very accustomed to making moves, there's a fantastic piece on espn.ph about the struggles that have hit the San Miguel Beermen. To put into perspective, in case you are watching this and you don't know for certain just how good the San Miguel Beermen were, 29 championships, some of the most iconic players in the history of Philippine basketball put on that jersey. But right now, at 4-4, they're looking a little shaky. Junmar Fajardo is still fantastic. He's the stats leader when it comes to the best player of the conference numbers. 18 and a half points. He's over 17 rebounds. The problem, of course, is going to be put on a brand new head coach. You know, you have Coach Leo Austria reinstated as the head coach of this team. There will be birth pains to that again. There are problems when it comes to the import. This is their third import in Jabari Narcis. He's also struggling a little bit. But to be honest, this is about the locals, okay? This is about the local support that has always been strong when it comes to this team. And that's why it reminds me of the Petronovela that was back in the day. Oh, man, when you had Alex Cabagnot, Arwin Santos, Marshall Lassiter, Chris Lutz, Junmar Fajardo there as well. That team was made to win, but it didn't win immediately. They stumbled out of the gates. Everyone was expecting that when the insertion of that original Gilas team went into that lineup, that they were going to win championships immediately. But it just didn't happen because that is the nature of the game. There needs to be more consistency from the players, and the only way that they can do that is by consistently being out there under the coach. Now, Alex Cabagnot was an incredible clutch player. He was an incredible player when it comes to being the engine of that offense, but he wasn't always like that. He grew into that role in time. They trusted him. They trusted the process to get there. The same with Arwin Santos. There was so much questions about his lack of offensive capabilities. But whenever they needed a big shot, Arwin Santos, Spider-Man, was there every single time. They needed a big defensive stop, Arwin was there. Marshall Lassiter, despite hitting that big shot against Magnolia in that last game, he's not the same Marshall that we have known from back in the day. But does that mean that it is time to blow this whole thing up? I don't think so. You know, the question now is, can CJ Perez transform into the player that we all expected him to be on both sides of the ball? You're going to have to trust him to get into that. Will Wami Chongson become the floor leader that Alex Cabagnot once was? The only way that we'll know is if we stick to the process. In short, I don't think that it is time to blow this up. I think that we tend to have a short patience when it comes to the PBA, that teams need to win immediately, but I have the utmost faith in the most dominant player that the PBA has ever seen in Junmar Fajardo, and I do have a lot of faith in Coach Alfrancis Chua to find the right pieces to make this team the winning franchise that they are. He's done it before with less pieces. He can do it again now with even more. What do you think, though? Is it time for the Beermen to panic? Let me know in the comments. I would love to find out what you guys think. While you're at it, after doing the comments, head on over to espn.com for everything that you would need hoops related, either in the NBA, the PBA, Gilas Pilipinas. We got it all there for you. And make sure to follow us on Instagram at espn.ph. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys again next week.